Riley Cooper, I mean, like, that dude deserves a statue.
God,
I mean, like,
number one on your speed dial.
Hey, I'll tell you what, like, I mean, I didn't know until a couple days after the fact. I was like, wait a minute, is he the MVP or like was he on the all-tournament team?
No doubt about it.
And then Ty Floyd, when I struck out 17, and like stole it from him. But I was like, when has a pitcher like been a part of like 5 of the 6 wins in Omaha? I mean, what a performance!
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, Jordy.
Thank you for the time. Yes, sir.
Sorry I'm a little late, boys. At the spring game, obviously, as you can see. A couple of booze cruises here to do. Let's fit. Cruise. Grand salami to the boys. Finally back on track. And I got another one coming. Don't you think I don't? And that's how we roll in Tiger Stadium.
Just watching the spring games that were on television, one thing that jumped out about your squad is your quarterback room is very talented compared to a lot of the league and a lot of the country. I wonder, is it easier to recruit that position when you have talent or when you don't have talent? Coach Kelly, we're official.
Finally,
I'm
get a
telling
chance to meet you. Thought I had to get a private audience with the Pope. There's Jordy.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification. We about to go live. We got all your favorite guests. We got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show.
And
Come have a good time.
Tearing up, answering the question. I thought, my God, if Chica is offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we open up the phone lines. Come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show. Yeah.
Let's go! Let's go!
All right.
Big day.
Start.
Big day.
Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta Show. Come have a good time.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, Jordy.
Thank you for the time. Monday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show is always live here from the campus of Click Here Digital on this Monday morning. We appreciate you starting your game week here with us. It is football game week. We got football to talk about. College football opened up over the weekend. Vanderbilt Stadium, everybody's pointing and laughing at. They were holding up the scoreboard with a couple of cranes.
Did you see
The opposing locker room was a tent. I mean, like,
It just means more.
I went to an 8th grade game over the weekend with 10 times better facilities than they were showing with the SEC.
They're just letting it, and they're just doing it.
Welcome into game week.
We're not apologizing.
It would not be game week 1 for LSU if there was not a tropical storm / hurricane watch on deck, and there is. There is a tropical storm at this point that looks like it is barreling down towards the panhandle of Florida. That could be touching land at some point midweek, so we'll wait and see what the news is. But other than that, we're talking LSU, Florida State here in week 1. We got numbers that were handed out over the weekend, 7 and 18. We'll react to that. Last night, Jimmy Graham looked like it was year 3 with the Saints. Me and little Jay were in the Dome last night. The place was buzzing about Graham. We'll talk to how the Saints get to 53 with the rest of the league by tomorrow at 3 o'clock as it is NFL cut-down day where teams must go from 90 to 53 overnight here between Monday and Tuesday. We'll talk about some of the Saints cuts coming up with Brooke Kirchhofer, who is the Louisiana Sportscaster of the Year and a part of New Orleans.football, as she'll be here at 8:15 this morning. We'll talk about last night's game with the Texans. We'll talk about some of the cuts that'll be coming up between New Orleans and getting down to the 53, and we'll ask her, what the hell's going on with Jimmy Graham? 17-13 last night. Houston beats New Orleans in Game 3, preseason Game 3. The next time you see the New Orleans Saints will be Week 1 as they will be taking on the Titans. As always, we're brought to you by RMB Builders. Remember Rhett Bourgeois and the crew over at RMB, rmb-builders.com is where you can always find them online, and you can hit them on Instagram at RMB Builders as well. Our phone line is brought to you by our friends over at Southern Regional Medical Center, where we'll talk to Brooke coming up here at 8:15 about the Saints from New Orleans.football. Remember our friends over at Southern Regional Medical Center. That's Jason Ramazan, BJ, Charlie Harvey, and the crew, who real doctors, real solutions over there that you can find from Southern Regional Medical Center. So weekend news was coming out as LSU is now less than a week away from the opener between Florida State over in Orlando. We'll get you caught up on that. But the big news coming out of LSU's program over the weekend was that they awarded the numbers of 7 and 18 to a couple of linemen, as it was announced this weekend by LSU football that Will Campbell, left tackle, will wear number 7. Now he'll have a patch on his collar, kind of like Lloyd Cushenberry did in 2019. Not kind of like Lloyd Cushenberry did, exactly like Lloyd Cushenberry did back in the championship season, where he was awarded number 18. Campbell awarded number 7. The first time the number has been placed on the line of scrimmage, and for Campbell, he was recognized as the best player on the roster from the state of Louisiana, which seems to be, I guess, the definition of what number 7 is, even after it started with the tradition of Patrick Peterson. Mekhi Wingo, I don't know. Mekhi Wingo was awarded number 18 over the weekend. This is not a big surprise, I think, to people that were trying to throw the dart at number 18 to see where it landed. I think Josh Williams and Mekhi Wingo were overwhelmingly the two odds-on favorites to land the number. When I saw that Wingo was going to get the number, I thought it made perfect sense. He was awarded a team captain a couple of weeks back. A captain is awarded off of, going through the SWAT team in the offseason, which is a leader. He was named to a leader of a SWAT team, which means that he is the leader of a group of 10 players and teammates that he is overseeing and making sure that they have things like questionnaires that need to be turned in on time, showing up for all classes, showing up on team meals, just the responsibilities of being an LSU football player. And Mekhi Wingo, since he's shown up, not just this summer, not just this offseason, and not just on this team, on his first team at LSU last year, he was a name that consistently would come up when leadership was talked about. So from the leadership standpoint, from landing on those two guys as far as them being awarded the numbers, I think it makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, it's something that I think makes, from just you say it out loud, it's easy to get behind, right? With Mekhi Wingo wearing 18 and Will Campbell, who's going to be wearing number 7. I was a little surprised by it in the sense of I thought Harold Perkins was going to end up with 7. I thought that maybe Malik Neighbors was going to end up with number 7. But seeing Will Campbell get the number, I got no problem with it. I mean, the way that I've always recognized
That's my thing.
number 7 has always kind of been a
Skill player.
a playmaker, a skill player, just really a game changer that you were always talking about going into the game, and usually was the centerpiece of the game once it kicked off. And while Will Campbell is, maybe maybe one of the best offensive linemen to come through the program in the last decade plus, this is something that we've never seen. We've just never seen number 7 on the line of scrimmage, and it's different. And if this is what it's going to be, if it's going to be the best player of on the roster from Louisiana every year.
My whole thing is, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but it kind of sets a precedent that what if you get somebody outside of Louisiana that is a Patrick Peterson? Now what?
Or Harold Perkins.
Right, who's from Louisiana technically, right? And now he can't doesn't it feel like he can't wear 7 because they're on the same timeline?
Yeah.
Campbell's going to be 7 until he leaves, and Harold Perkins will be here until he leaves. Kind of shirks the tradition to me just a little bit. Like, I know it's not the biggest deal in the world and nobody really cares, but if we're going to care and making an announcement, it feels like it's a little bit different than anything that's ever happened before because you're taking Patrick Peterson out the equation now.
Well, you're right, and I don't necessarily know if 7 was ever defined, right? Like if there was ever a true definition of what
to be explained.
Sure. But I think that what Brian Kelly has done now, he's turned it into a recruiting tool. He's turned it into a legitimate recruiting tool, right?
You could go that way.
Where you have seen players come through here, and when they do their photo shoot, right, like where they go to the top of Tiger Stadium, they're in the locker room, they're in the facility. A lot of times you see 7 on their back, right? Like they recognize that number 7 at LSU is a pretty special number. And now with Kelly kind of defining what 7 is, he's saying that, look, 7 inside the program is the best player from the state of Louisiana on the roster. Well, I think now you've got a real defined recruiting tool, and you've got some at least understanding of what it is. I mean, like, I get you. Like, I love that Patrick Peterson and Tyrann Mathieu and DJ Chark and all these people were 7, and Leonard Fournette was able to get it as a true freshman and, stepped into that role. I understand what it was building towards. Now that it's defined,
it makes sense at least a little bit.
Right? Like,
I just don't like the fact that you're taking Patrick Peterson out of the history of who started it. You changed what it was to me.
Sure, no, and you have.
But I like what it is now.
I think
I get it.
You've defined it, and I think you've also kind of less pressurized it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
exactly, which is so weird to have to even have this
kind
conversation.
of like taken a step back and like said, like, look, we're not going to just throw number 7 at people and expect you to be Patrick Peterson or Tyrann Mathieu. You know what I mean? Like, I think that was something that kind of was a little bit of an issue with it. You know what I mean? It was glaring on people like Jonathan Giles and Kayshawn.
Right.
Right? Where you're like, well, there's number 7. And you're like, well, we still don't know what that really means. You know, like, I mean, like, we're supposed to look like Patrick Peterson. That's what it means to me. You know, I mean, that's what I thought, because everybody that comes through here and wears it is dynamic. Yeah, right. I mean, top 5 pick. So, I mean, it's now that it's got definition to it. Now that Brian Kelly has come out and kind of said, look, this is what number 7 is inside the program, and this is who's going to get it. I'm okay, sweet. Like, I guess that's how we're going to do it, And then when you get to 18, I think 18 can just be defined as leader, right? Like, it doesn't have to be skill, doesn't have to be playmaker, doesn't have to be line of scrimmage, doesn't have to be, first team starter, doesn't have to be any of this stuff, just leader. When I think of 18, whether it's Benny Logan, Richard Murphy, Foster Morrow, on down the line of guys that have come through here, worn the number, Lloyd Cushenberry to Mekhi Wingo. Brandon Taylor, guys that just popped to mind. Every single name I have rattled off is a leader. Jacob Hester, Matt Malk. Even where it started. Those guys are, by the definition, leaders inside of the locker room. Still leaders. I saw Hester on Saturday. He and I were watching our kids play 7th and 8th grade football together at U High. He still has that cachet to him when he's even around like other dads. He has this leadership quality to him that I think that's what is defined in that number at LSU. BJ Ojulari. We had a great relationship with Ojulari over the last couple of years. When I think of Ojulari, I think dominant football player. I also just think leader, great person. Good dude. Mekhi Wingo's the same way. He comes through here. He was captivating in the sense of he was just a good dude. He was just a good guy, a good person that you could tell really took his responsibility very serious. Whether it was his workouts, his class, his social life, whatever it was, he put a lot of
cachet
investment into, what it meant, just being a leader. I think that nobody
I
from
think Hester feels like he kind of personified it and made it what 18
Sure.
is. And it could have been, you could say Flynn, but I feel like he really owns what it's supposed to mean and wants it to be appointed to the right person. And Mekhi Wingo is a great choice. I thought it could have been Josh Williams as well.
Yeah, no doubt. I think Josh Williams and Wingo made perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like when I think of the 18 fraternity, the face that I think of is Hester. Like that's who I think of. Like he's the guy who kind of like oversees it. When I think of DBU, I think of Corey Webster. Like when I think DBU, the first person I see is 13. I mean I see him tipping the football to himself at Georgia, or in the Natty. You know what I mean? Like it just when you when you say number 7, I see Pat Pete and Tyrann Matthew.
Me too.
You know what I mean? Like I can't get past those two. And I understand that there's a fraternity that comes along with all of that, but there's just these recognizable faces that have come now with this, I guess, tradition at LSU now. I mean, both have become now long-lasting where you can call them traditions. I mean, the 18 goes back to the 03 national championship season with Matt Malk. Number 7 goes back to 2010 with Patrick Peterson. I mean, you're talking about things that are over a decade, over 20 years in the sense, or a 20-year anniversary, I guess, for number 18 here in 2023.
If I didn't feel old before.
Right. So, look, I kind of like where they sit now. I mean, I kind of like that
I just think
7 is defined. And, I mean, like you can get away with giving away.
Defined, yeah.
You can get away with giving it to Perkins. I mean, at this point, like by the letter of the law.
Right, because he's going to be a patch. Right.
Well,
that
I
was
mean,
going to be my only.
Well, not only that, he's from Louisiana.
Yeah.
I mean, like you could still. I don't know if necessarily some people behind closed doors.
He's got 504 tattooed on his bicep.
Or I mean, like I know like the Stingley discussion, and I know Stingley personally. That's why we were there last night. And shout out to Tom Granning, our guy over at GoMart. Tom Granning over in Natchez, and has been so great to the show, man, since day one. Came through with some tickets last night. Great seats to watch Houston and New Orleans, and was a couple of sections over from Coach Sting and his wife Natasha, and was they were obviously there watching Derek. Derek was a scratch right before the game. I was texting Coach Sting 2 nights ago. I said, "Is he going to play?" And 2 nights ago, he was going to play. Like, I mean, Derek was telling Coach Sting that he is anticipating playing a couple of series. He might play 1 or 2 series, and then in the game, in pregame, as they were getting warmed up, D'Amico Ryans looked at him and kind of did the, "Nope, we're good. You're good." He's had a fantastic training camp. I don't know if you've seen some of the highlights coming out of training camp on him, but he is. In talking to him a little bit and talking to his dad. There is a new defense in Houston that very much suits Sting. I mean, you're talking about getting back to his days of freshman year, high school, where, you kind of got him out on an island playing a little one-on-one. You can help him with some stuff, but for the most part, I mean, I saw some dual practices coming out with Miami and Houston, and he made a break on a pick that looked like freshman season of LSU. I know that he's motivated by a lot of the discussion around Sauce Gardner, being the 4th overall pick, and obviously him having a stellar rookie season. Sting was having a pretty good year until late, where he got a little nicked up. And Houston, Houston was the one that made the decision to kind of shut him down late in the year. They didn't want to risk injury on their top overall pick, knowing that they were going to change coaching staffs and bring in a new regime, and wanted to just kind of keep him healthy. So I expect a really solid breakout type season in year 2 for Derek Stingley. But being there last night and watching Houston and New Orleans play, was able to talk to Coach Sting, and it was great to see him. Obviously, I kind of lost my train of thought. I don't know how we got to Sting. Was it DBU?
GBU 7.
Yeah.
And
that Sting was, he was number 7, but I mean, like, he's been 24 his whole life, right? And Harold Perkins is kind of the same way, right? Where he was 4 his whole life. And not necessarily do they say, like Jamar Chase was the same way. I remember when they went to Jamar Chase and he was
I kind of wanted to be
one. He was kind of like, I mean, I love it. I mean, I really, it's
an honor.
It's an honor, absolutely. But I mean, some people become tied to a number, married to a number.
And it felt like at LSU, 1 was kind of like the wide receiver of 7, and DBU was kind of 7. Right. It felt like it was going to be somebody like that always played the defensive back position, which made so much sense for Stingley. But the way that it kind of fell off the tracks a little bit, and now this at least gives it a rebrand in a sense with Will Campbell and it being it's a Louisiana thing now. So at least because it kind of needed a rebrand in a sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Where it was lost.
No, it did. It needed some definition. I mean, if it was going to stay on the books, like if you were going to keep this and make it a tradition,
you defined it.
You needed to define it, right? Like, what is it? I mean, because every year everybody's like, I mean, you can give it to Perkins, you give it to Neighbors, you give it to, I mean, like you just give it to the best player on the team, kind of is what it felt like. But now with some definition, I think you kind of take the politics out of it.
And you don't, like you said earlier, I don't want to keep talking in circles about it, but it takes that pressure off of, like, it was obviously you're the best player on the team, and it felt like they had to live up to a certain standard of what that meant. Because everybody looks at you and goes, oh, that's the best player on the team.
Right.
I guess.
Yeah. I mean, like,
I got to show up every game.
When you're running out of the tunnel, I mean, you're usually like, hey, get up front. Like, get 7, bring him up front. I mean, that's the dude. So,
but I like it. It's something.
Yeah, it's cool.
And it defines Brian Kelly, too, in a sense, to where like he's going to be here for a long time as well. He's got a 10-year contract. So now we know what number 7 will be for the next 10 years, and we know that Brian Kelly's probably going to be here for 10 years.
Our friends over at Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Remember, you can get in touch with them today. They got a couple of trucks working in Baton Rouge, and they always work in South Louisiana for you. You can get in touch with them, 225-776-2431. 225-776-2431 is the phone number if you want to get in touch with Jude Barker and the crew over at Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. They can help you out today. Remember, commercial and residential plumbing services apply over at Barker Brothers. So get in touch with Jude and the crew today at 225-776-2431. 225-776-2431. Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Couple of trucks on this side of the river every single day. So if you mention it, the Culotta Show, you can save yourself 15% on a maintenance call. So no website, no social media. You got to dial them directly. 225-776-2431. 225-776-2431. All right, so 7 and 18 are handed out. Will Campbell will be wearing number 7. He'll have a patch on the collar. And Mekhi Wingo will be wearing number 18 for the defense, on the defensive line. So a couple of guys on the line of scrimmage going to be wearing 7 and 18 coming up this year for LSU. So now it's game week. So now we are here. LSU and Florida State teeing it up for week 1 action. Week 0 came and went in college football. I guess before we talk all about week 1 coming up here and we dive in to LSU, Florida State, see anything this weekend that stood out to you besides Caleb Williams?
I was going to say their defense is still bad.
Terrible. Still terrible.
They felt like such a – I'm not worried about them. If you're an LSU fan and you look like kind of project into what the rest of the season is. Also, what channel is the Pac-12 on? I can't find it.
I think it's only streamed.
Well, I did it illegally, but it was tough to find that. And Sam Hartman's a player.
Yeah, Sam Hartman is a player.
And the Navy head coach looks like Navy football. Huh?
He is a great-looking dude.
Oh, he looks like a movie character.
I mean, like, he looks like a movie star.
It looks like he's that's. I actually tweeted that, pretty much that sentiment. I was like, he looks like he's like it looks like a TV show. I mean, like he would be central casting for a quarterback.
When he took his helmet off, I was like, this is a movie.
Yeah, I thought I was going to go to a commercial, go to a trailer.
Me too, like the flowing hair, the beautiful facial hair. I was like,
and he couldn't look more like Notre Dame's quarterback. He looks like he's going to war.
I mean, like he looks like a soldier in the Civil War, man.
And the same thing with the Navy head coach. He looked like he was in the Navy.
This guy, dude, get this guy a modeling contract.
I mean, I thought he was going to opt out,
and he can play.
He was
a double banger.
He was at Wake Forest, and then he transferred to Notre Dame. But he's been on TV his whole life. He was on QB1.
Obviously.
Clearly, he knows how to play the role.
Like, anybody at Notre Dame in the social media department, do not overthink this.
That's a Heisman candidate.
I mean, like, you've just had a supermodel walk into your program that's a player. I mean, like, I couldn't get over that. I mean, like, he is the double whammy, like a player and good looking at the quarterback spot.
And you're playing in Ireland and for Notre Dame. That
Sheesh.
just felt, the whole thing felt surreal in a sense where it was like, is this fake? What am I watching?
Sammy's catching a PJ back. Y'all go ahead. I'm going to hang back.
That's what I'm saying. I thought he was going to opt out. He's like, oh, these just looks like it looks like a first overall pick. It's great, though.
It was great. It was great.
And then I watched USC, and San Jose State's quarterback's a player.
San Jose State's was...
Or their defense is terrible.
Their defense is horrible.
Horrible.
Zach Branch, the true freshman at USC, brought back some shades of Reggie Bush. I've never seen a player that reminds me of Reggie Bush since Reggie Bush has come here. And I'm not saying that after one game, Zach Branch reminds me of Reggie Bush, but his highlights in the way that he runs is the difference between Reggie Bush and everybody else. Like, Reggie Bush would be running full speed and going with max effort and be able to stop, cut, and move on a dime. I mean, his quick twitch and ability, like, it still plays. Go back and look at Reggie Bush's highlights. He could play in any era. If college football is still around in 100 years, Reggie Bush would still be a player 100 years from now. It doesn't matter what type of science, what type of strength, what happened, nutrition happens to the game. You cannot teach what Reggie Bush was doing in college football in the early 2000s, 2003, 4, and 5. Zach Branch in one game at USC runs a lot like Bush. I mean, his moves, his ability to kind of cut. He caught a little flare pass into the, I mean, like, it looked like a video game.
It looked like he was still playing high school football.
And if you look at the sidelines behind him, the coaches know. Like, one guy has his hand up because he knows he's about to shake this cat up and embarrass him.
And he gets in such an awkward spot, too. And he's like, just get me the rock.
That was like Reggie Bush. He would make one move, and then it was like, strike the band. Like, it was,
put the sword up.
It was over. And I mean, that kickoff return that Branch had.
The punt return or kickoff return?
Was it a kickoff? It was a
punt.
kickoff.
I saw both.
The kickoff is where he splits it, and then he gets to the sideline, and at the sideline, you're like, he's either going to get shoved out of bounds or he'll get tackled in between the sideline and the hash marks. And he is able to get back to the middle of the field and is just sprinting away from people like Bush would do. I mean, Bush would, once he knew that it was over, he would start coasting, and like, it was just like these beautiful highlights of football. Like, I mean, that was the thing about Reggie Bush, was that it was like art. It was like watching it was like watching a painting like come to life when he would play. Branch in one game, again, don't let me get too dramatic and overblown here, because I still think that Reggie Bush is the best college football player I've ever seen.
Yep.
Ever. Tyrann Matthews right there. But Reggie Bush, he had the ball in his hand so much. Right? I mean, like, he had a terrible game against Texas in the national championship, and he balled. You know what I mean?
Over 200 yards.
I mean, like, he balled, but he made this bonehead play at the beginning of the game where he tried to flip it back in the open field. It was like he was too good. It was like he was like playing a video game.
Mm-hmm. Well, he did that because he used to do that in high school. Is whenever he would like look to pitch it to somebody, try to pitch it to the tight end, and that kind of it felt like kind of cost USC the national championship, even though it was so early in the game. And you're like, Reggie, what are you doing? You're overthinking it.
Right, he was overthinking it.
Yeah, it's like trying to make a highlight.
But the touchdown run he made in that game where he turns the corner, it looks impossible that he's going to hit the corner. Like, he's running out of field. There's no way he's going to make the corner because, he's just running out of real estate. You're like, I mean, it looks like he's just getting bounced outside and just going to go run out of bounds, and he turns the corner like completely and sprints and then dives from the 3, and it is a touchdown. Like, it's not like you can go back, replay it all you want. Like,
yeah, he cuts a flip.
I mean, yeah, he cuts a flip. I mean, it's just like,
okay,
how
I'll take him.
In the hell? I believe it's definitely Keith Jackson on the call, and I want to say it was, golly, why am I blanking? The old San Diego Chargers quarterback that played with Kellen Winslow. He played for Oregon. He was the San Diego Chargers quarterback back in the day, Dan Fouts.
Oh, yes.
Is it Dan Fouts with the beard?
Yes.
Fouts. Like, he loses his mind on that run. But Branch, like I said, he's got that.
He's got that juice.
He's got that pop. You know what I mean?
And the mouthpiece.
Joe
dangling.
McKnight, God rest his soul. R.I.P. Yes, the mouthpiece looked like Jamar. He reminded me of Jamar with the mouthpiece. Number 1.
They should give him 5.
I don't know if they can do that. I would. That would be a Joe Burrow number. That would be.
I guess so.
If I'm at USC, number 5 is Joe Burrow-esque. I mean, like, even at USC.
I don't think has anybody been it since.
I don't know why they would. I think Joe McKnight was 25.
Right.
Like,
and because Reggie was 25 at
the Saints.
Right. So it was an ode.
But, I mean,
it might be untouchable.
In my book of USC, it is. If I ever saw somebody wearing number 5 at USC, I'd be like,
pressure.
Bruh. I'd be like wearing 9 at LSU.
Yeah.
Like, why would you want to do that? Even 20 years later.
I guess that's the difference. It's one guy that you think of that you're like 5 is Reg.
No doubt.
And he tried to wear it for the Saints.
Yes.
And they wouldn't let him. He was going to give all his money to Katrina.
He petitioned to like push towards the league.
He said all the jersey sales, he would take that money and give it to Hurricane Relief. And they were still like, no, you can't do it. And it was like, okay, this thing's over.
NFL.
Okay,
we're going to talk to Brooke Kirkoffer coming up here at 8:15 this morning about the Saints last night as the Saints fall in Game 3 to the Houston Texans in preseason action. We'll talk to Brooke about how the Saints get to 53 by tomorrow at 3 o'clock. That is the time for the universal NFL cut here on to get to the 53-man roster is tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Was Joe McKnight was number 4 at USC? What was I thinking? Where was he? Was 25 in the league?
Yeah, for the Jets.
Was he for the Jets? Yeah. He was so good too, man.
He was.
R.I.P.
Best player I've ever seen in actual with my own 2 eyeballs in high school football.
Really?
He went to they went to the state championship, and I worked for the LHSAA, and he ran back 2 punts that both got called back. But you could just see the way he moved. You're like, yeah.
I remember watching him play on ESPN against Hoover.
He took the game over.
He took the game.
Hoover only lost because of Joe. Like, what do you do? And same thing with
they were kicking it to him.
Aaron Anderson.
They were throwing it to him.
Punting it to him.
They were like,
don't let him do that.
Are you out of your mind? Like, are you gonna let this guy touch the ball again? I mean,
so good.
He's killing you. Aaron Anderson could be that type of. He could be a Branch type player. He could be that. I mean, he's not. He doesn't have the Reggie Bush type but he's got that type of pop and juice where.
Breakout.
Yeah, like I mean, his
his
highlights are going to be gorgeous. You know
what
I mean?
But for what you saw from Branch was one of the more impressive things. It seemed like USC couldn't do
enough.
True
freshman.
I know, and it felt like they knew that they needed that kind of player because the way that they kept finding ways to give him the ball, which I think you can do a la Aaron Anderson, where it's, hey, we're running the screen to you. Like it felt like they were kind of force feeding him, and every time they did, something good happened. Mm-hmm. And if Aaron Anderson can be that, I don't think he'll be like that. But if you get it to him 2 or 3 times a game, there's a chance he scores on one of them.
Well, every single
2 or 3
blade of grass is in play.
Yes.
Like you got to guard sideline to sideline. You got to guard 100 yards with those 2 guys. You know what I mean? Because they could catch a punt and bust it. You could flip it to them, and they could make one person miss, or they could just run past you, and you just throw it over the top of them.
But Branch was impressive.
I
didn't know he was that good, and it looks good. That's what USC needs.
We were in Vegas a couple of weeks ago for NBA Summer League. Me and Lil Jay went to Vegas mid-July for a weekend, and I remember I was sitting next to a guy at Summer League, and he was a high school official, and he officiated Bishop Gorman, and that's where Branch is from. He's from Vegas. He went to Bishop Gorman High School in Vegas, and Lil Jay had an LSU sweatshirt on, and so it kind of just struck conversation. He was talking about college football, and Branch's name came up. We were talking because he was talking about Louisiana high school football and how the reputation's out there. And I was like, the only thing I know about Vegas is Gorman. I was like, that's the only thing.
Tate Martell.
Yeah, I was like, that's the only thing I've ever. Snoop Dogg's son.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really what I told him. I was like, I watched that when I watched that show and followed Snoop's son through Bishop Gorman, and that's really how I learned about the program. and he said that the best player that's ever come out of Bishop Gorman is going to be at USC this year. And I didn't know, I didn't keep up. And then, immediately when I saw that on Saturday night, I was taken back to that conversation. Yes, I was like,
Leo.
When I heard
That's
the guy, I
him.
was like, out of Bishop Gorman High School, I was like, oh, all right. There you go.
I might have been watching.
Good call, bro.
Probably has a future on him somewhere.
But yes, USC rolls again. Their defense
Terrible.
I don't know what Alex Grinch has on Lincoln Riley, because you would think that Lincoln Riley would be able to go out and recruit and get like any defensive coordinator that he would want. Think about the resume. You're pumping out Heisman Trophy winners at quarterback. What does he have? 3 now? 4 Heisman Trophy winners? Lincoln Riley? He's got Caleb Williams, Baker. He's got Kyler Murray.
That's 3.
Am I missing anybody?
No,
so he's got 3 over the last,
Jalen Hurt? No Heisman.
No, he was a Heisman finalist. So he's got, he's got 3 winners, 4 finalists over the last 6 years, 7 years.
Can't buy a defense.
How can this guy not just put out like a PSA on Twitter, on X, on Facebook, on Instagram, and be like, yo, can anybody call a defense? Because I got the offensive thing down. We are good on offense. Can anybody call a defense? And for whatever reason, man, Alex Grinch he's got
Carte
that.
blanche.
He's got that Les Miles treatment at LSU where it's like, what does this guy have on everybody? How does he keep his job? How many times do you have to see an USC defense get shredded? Shredded by a no-name, by no one. San Jose State is good, but
No, that made their quarterback look unbelievable.
Exactly.
That
That was
this man's
the
going to get
issue.
drafted. And I don't know if he's very good. That might be the best game he plays all year because of the defense. And it felt like he had to score 56 just to prove a point so they wouldn't talk about the defense. He's like, let's put up 60 on offense, and maybe that's what they'll talk about, instead of looking at Alex Grinch and going, why is he still here?
Ugh.
Because they put up 56 with ease.
Yes, easily.
But he didn't. I think that's what he wanted to be the story. He's like, oh, shit, we're going to have to score a lot to make sure that people talk about our offense, not our defense.
You start playing Penix Jr. from Washington. You start playing Chip Kelly and UCLA. You go play Utah.
Utah's had their number for the last 2 years.
I'm not even talking about getting outside of the Pac-12, 4, 3, 2, whatever it is.
YouTube.
That's
what the game was.
Just you have all this offensive firepower, man, and you got nobody.
Stewart.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. What are the cameras?
You didn't want to just do the miss the class thing?
Yeah. When he texted me, I said he goes, I'm awake. I might as well come in.
Ever slept, bro?
But he did the document last night, knocked it out the park.
That was my confusion. I was like, what's going on? What's the deal?
Here he is. It's here.
Remember our friends at Katie's Restaurant? We're gonna do a shift change behind the computer.
Behind the
here.
glass.
Remember our friends over at Katie's Restaurant, located down in New Orleans. Was down there on a Sunday yesterday. Remember, we've been telling you about the new Sunday hours. If you were an NFL football fan, Scott Craig and Katie's Restaurant over on Iberville Street in Mid-City down in New Orleans has really embraced the NFL and Sunday schedules. They're staying open now 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. They've added 6 new televisions inside over at Katie's, which means you can't miss a play. In fact, they are telling us to promote the pre- and post-game, but it's obviously a spot that you can go just post up and watch the game if you want. Obviously, Saints playing a lot of noon kickoffs, so if you want to jump into Katie's and grab some good food, cold beer, cold booze, then you can stop in and see them on Iberville Street. They have a sister restaurant in Francesca's, which is located in Lakeview. Stop in online at katiesinmidcity.com. katiesinmidcity.com is where you can find them. As always, we'll come back with a full crew here on the Jordy Culotta Show, built by R&B.
You can't put the cart before the horse. That'd be like...
Hey guys, it was a pleasure serving you.
But we didn't even order yet.
Huh.
Never sign a contract with a roofer before he gets on your roof. Call Go Roof instead. We offer a free, no-obligation inspection. A beautiful roof every shingle time. Bobby, goes in the front.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Malik Neighbors, a wide receiver.
Favorite pregame meal?
Popeyes.
What would winning a national championship mean to you?
It would mean a lot to me because, we seen a lot of the greats come through here, won their national championship, got, remembered for life.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Probably fly. That or telekinesis.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Do it wrong, do it long. Do it right, do it light.
Kyra Lacey, wide receiver, number 2.
Do you have any nicknames?
K2.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Stay humble.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Fly. I be flying in my dreams.
What's been the highlight of your partnership with us?
The bike giveaway was one of the best things. I was pretty excited about that one. Texas A&M, I just got a point to prove because last year I dropped 2 balls I should have caught. I'm coming for them for real.
That's it. Thank you, man.
My name is Harold Perkins, and I play linebacker.
What's your favorite pre-game meal or snack?
Pasta with a little steak, something that's not too heavy.
Any superstitions or pre-game rituals?
I pray a lot. Just be me and God before the game. Perky worky. I like when they call me the percolator. I like that.
If anyone gets in a wreck, who should they call?
Gore.
Thanks. Where were you born at, Greg?
Hattiesburg, Mississippi. But I claim 504 food because I was raised there my whole life. Favorite type of food is spaghetti. But you need to try spaghetti with some corn on the side. Funniest person, I'd probably get Kyron Lacey. He be having me joked out every time I talk to him.
Who's the most athletic?
Besides myself, Perk or Malik. Future self, just take one day at a time, one step at a time. If you're doing something, just be where your feet are. Make sure you give 100% effort.
What is something on your bucket list?
Win a Super Bowl. That's definitely on my bucket list.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Time traveling.
Who's the fastest on the team?
Like in a short span, I would say quick trigger, I'm taking Perk. One thing most people don't know about me, probably that I moved 12 times growing up, 12 different states.
Who's the most savage on the team?
Mason Smith. Mason Smith, definitely.
And who gets it done?
Gordon.
Thank you, man. That's great.
Emory Jones, right tackle.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Got it from my mom, and she just told me, always keep your head on the swivel.
Favorite subject?
Math, easy. I kind of keep it light. Give me some type of red beans or something like that, throw a little cornbread on the side.
Light with red beans.
Yeah, just a little bit. I am superstitious. I got some PSDs that's purple and yellow and white. I wear them every game. I feel like they my lucky draws, and you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep doing it.
All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, as always, built by R&B Builders, live here on this Monday morning game week, getting you ready for Sunday night, LSU, Florida State, top 7 matchup in the country, biggest game of week 1, as everybody will be pointing towards this one and paying attention to this one. I think the other game, kind of the lead-in, the undercard for LSU, Florida State, is going to be South Carolina, North Carolina.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, that's the
two premier
game
quarterbacks.
Weekend, second best game of the weekend.
Spencer Rattler. I know this camera's a little bit zoomed out. They won't connect for some reason. We got a PTZ issue. But other than that, Spencer Rattler, Drake May.
Yeah.
Two premier quarterbacks that you would imagine. And I think it's a put up, shut up year for Spencer Rattler because of a lot comes with him, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And Drake May feels like could be a Heisman potential finalist. And if anybody's going to challenge Caleb Williams, I think it would be him.
Yeah, he feels like the number 2 overall pick.
Yeah, and it feels like they're not going to give they just won't do it again. They won't go back-to-back Heisman winners since Archie Griffin. It just feels like that, like we talked about Reggie Bush being 5 in the last 5 at USC and Joe Burrow being the last 9 at LSU. It feels like they're not going to go back-to-back Heisman winners ever again. Because it could have been a bunch of times.
Tim Tebow. Yeah, no, I mean, Caleb Williams had a nice start to it, though.
Yeah, great start.
I mean, he had it. If he was going to be...
He's kind of a the NCAA thing that he just inserted himself into the conversation where he's, I'm going to be in the game. It's not coming out until next year. So you wouldn't be in it anyway because you're going to the NFL. Are you not going to be in Madden?
Yeah, that's weird.
I mean, he just put himself in there for no reason.
Yeah.
Nobody cares what you think about it.
Well,
everybody wants the game. Don't be a
douchebag.
Yeah, don't be a douchebag about it.
Yeah.
He also said he's not like...
And he does the fingernail thing.
But he also said he's totally not in on going to the NFL draft this year.
Yeah, that's a lie.
Yeah, sure.
Until you are.
Ask Matt Barkley if that's a good idea. Caleb, you don't have to reference too far back to realize a USC quarterback that thought it was a lot cooler to hang out in Hollywood than go get a guaranteed number 1 overall pick salary. You know what I mean? Like, I get what you have to say at this point.
Yeah, don't overthink it.
You know what I mean? But come on, man. I mean, let's...
Well, the only person that probably did it the best was a USC quarterback in Matt Leinart, where he's like, I'm actually making I have a great life here. I don't want to go to Arizona. Or I don't want to go to, there's no place better than where I am right now. So I'm going to take ballroom dancing and come back for my 4th year at USC.
And they all went back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because they were getting paid. I mean, that's what...
And they took a pay cut to go to the league.
We're going to run it back.
So LSU is going to face off against Florida State this Sunday. Obviously, the Tigers and the Noles are going to be headline news coming up this weekend as LSU is looking for a little bit of a bounce back after last season struggling to opening week's competition versus the Noles with LSU traveling to Orlando. Obviously, we're all going to be on weather watch, so let's just put the weather to the side here. We're playing under the premise, under the assumption that, look, we're going to be all good, right? Everything's going to be good. This tropical storm, this storm is going to roll through midweek. They're going to get everything ready for Orlando for Sunday, and you're going to have college football coming at you this weekend. But obviously, we've all been here before. We've all been a part of opening weekends in college football where LSU has been a centerpiece game, and they've been threatened by tropical storms, by hurricanes, so this is nothing new when thinking about what LSU is preparing for. This might be a little different for Brian Kelly and the staff experiencing this for the first time in a leadership role, but this is usually the norm when LSU is playing and getting the season kicked off, that they're doing it underneath some premise of a weather watch or some threat of weather where the game could be pushed, moved around. Let's just say it's all going off Sunday here at 6 p.m. Right?
Pardon my ignorance. Are you talking about the weather's going to be bad in Louisiana for this week or in Florida?
Yeah,
Florida has a hurricane on the way.
Where is it? An indoor game?
It's outdoors.
It's outdoors. I don't know where they're playing.
Camping
I know they're playing
Camping World Stadium.
Same stadium they play in the
the Cheez-It
Bowl.
The Cheez-It Bowl.
Oh, is he still there?
The high school
is the
stadium
bed
over
back?
there. The high school stadium.
So how many does it hold?
Yeah, I watched some Florida high school football this weekend. There was their stadium's probably nicer than Camping World Stadium.
Yeah, why is it there? It feels like this would be I guess most neutral site games are not max capacity for college football, but it feels like if it's a high school stadium, does it hold 50?
Probably it was like 50 or 60.
Yeah, I think it holds more than that. But I don't understand why you have if you have NFL stadiums in your market. Why wouldn't you go play at Jacksonville
Or Tampa?
or even Miami. Like, yeah, both of these schools want to have some type of imprint in South Florida as well.
Right.
Right? Like, I mean, it doesn't take long to get to players that have influenced LSU's roster from South Florida. I mean, we can start with this year's roster. How about Jaylen Brown?
Right.
Right? I mean, like, the list of guys that come out of that area that still LSU's been able to dip in there and grab. Ali Highsmith and Dwayne Bowe.
60,000 capacity.
Yeah, do you think that?
I'm just saying, I don't know why it's at Camping World. I don't know why it's in Orlando. When I saw it the first time, it didn't make a lot of sense to me just because the facility, there seems to be so many better facilities in the area.
Yeah.
Right? That you would potentially go play in. But, this being the layout of it, you just kind of show up where you got to play.
Yeah, wherever you got to kick it off.
But from a matchup standpoint, right, when you look at this game, I would start initially with the line of scrimmage. I mean, we talked about 7 and 18, being handed out over the weekend, and Will Campbell getting number 7 and number 18 going to Mekhi Wingo, two guys that play along that line of scrimmage for LSU. I think this game comes down to it. If you think about the storylines of this game last season, it was really the question marks for the Tigers going into it of who was going to start, who was going to be the stable 5 for LSU on the offensive line, right? I mean, think about it. You had guys out there like Cam Wire. You had Garrett Dellinger at center. I mean, you had a mismatch of guys of just playing, right? Obviously, Will Campbell was out there, but outside of him, I mean, it was not the guys that you obviously ended the season with. This year, there's so much more stability along that offensive line, along that group, along those 5 going into the game that it leaves you with some security, at least heading into the matchup that, they're secure there. They know who they're going to play. They even know their depth. If they lose a guy, if a guy goes down, they know who's going to be next man up. And I love the way that Brad Davis rotates his offensive line. This is something that's fairly new to college football, fairly new to LSU in the sense of, a lot like wide receiver, a lot like DB, a lot like, groups running back where you see a high rotation of guys coming in and out of the game. Offensive line has become that for LSU and Brad Davis, where it's either he's giving guys a shot or he's steadily evaluating in the game. And if you have a down series, if you have a couple of down series, next man up, rotate in. And when you have depth and talent like LSU is building, they're still young, right, along the offensive line. They've recruited well over the last 2 cycles. So you've got guys that are in the program and have been, guys like Bo Bordelon, who's been here for a minute, that looks like he's, if called upon, he'll be much more stable than he would have been last season as a true freshman, after a year and a half in the program and really watching his body transform into what looks like an SEC player, right? I mean, and you've even got guys like Paul Mubanga, who is in the program, DJ Chester, who they love and seem to be very high on. I think Tyree Adams looks fantastic after his first summer in fall camp as a true freshman offensive lineman. I'm not saying that these guys play. I'm just saying that they have depth that they're building and guys that they are trying to fast track and to get prepared to play. So when you look at the offensive line for LSU going into this matchup, it is a much different scenario than when it was a year ago. And I am hoping that we are going to link up. We've got a couple of messages out to some guys that cover Florida State.
God, we ruffled some feathers last year.
Wait, did y'all just see that Sleep Number commercial with Jamar and Justin on it?
Yeah. I mean, I heard they signed the deal.
The Olympics are on.
But it's, when you talk about that line of scrimmage play, I think it's going to be crucial for LSU to have this stability going into the game. I know the defensive line for Florida State is a pretty good group, and I want to talk more about that. As I was saying, we've got a couple of messages into guys that cover the Seminoles to learn a little bit more about them in a matchup or in a preview that we can get to you before the week lets out. But as far as LSU going into this game, the one position that last year you were so questioned, insecure about, now going into this one, feel very confident about, to me, is offensive line of scrimmage, that you'll be able to at least protect, open up holes, and get some movement. Maybe not consistent, because I know Florida State's pretty tough up front, but LSU, I think, has a solid to a potential in the season, could develop into a great offensive line. I think that they're very solid, very good going into the year, and potentially could develop into great by the end of the year. Now, they have to stay healthy, and some things have to happen. I think ultimately Lance Hurd will be on this 5. He may be on this 5 on Sunday. I think definitely by the time they play Mississippi State for the conference opener, he's in the lineup at right tackle. Emory Jones will be your right guard. Garrett Dellinger's your center. You've got Charles Turner at center, Garrett Dellinger at left guard, and you've got Will Campbell at left tackle. I mean, that potentially could be a great college football offensive lineman group. I mean, Campbell and Jones today, right now, grade out as first-round picks. Lance Hurd is a guy that I think once the scouts see and wants to see him compete against SEC competition, he's going to be developed and potential first-round pick once they see him play. Charles Turner's a senior, played a lot of football, and Garrett Dellinger's a pro. Like, you've got guys that, you have trust in, can count on, and are high-end players. I can't remember the last time LSU's had 3 high-round draft picks on one offensive line. I don't know if I've ever covered a group that had 3 high-round draft picks on one offensive line. I'm trying. Ben Wilkerson wasn't drafted high.
Maybe
Whitworth was on that line.
Yeah,
I mean, Stephen Peterman played long in the NFL. He wasn't drafted high. He was a guy that got into camp and really played himself into it.
The offensive lines with Will Clapp, like, they had draft picks on it, but they didn't have first round.
No, this is the first time in my life it's been this markedly high, where it feels like you have first round talent that people are talking about.
And across the line.
Yeah, across.
Not just one. Like Lyle Collins was one.
Yeah, Trey Turner was on that line.
And
that's probably the best one.
But I mean, Trey Turner was a second, third round pick?
He was a third round pick.
And then obviously what happened with Collins wasn't fair.
Right.
He would have been a first rounder.
First round pick.
Yeah, then you had on that same line, you had Gerald Hawkins, Will Clapp, Ethan Pochick, some draft picks.
They were running that thing.
Right. Yeah, some draft picks, but it wasn't first-round draft picks.
And Florida State, I'm sure y'all talked about this on Friday, Florida State dodges another bullet with the Mason Smith thing, which is an unbelievable scenario to have happen again, where they'd miss him again. And the fact that LSU tried to schedule a Week 0 game tells me all I need to know about Scott Woodward. The man is a genius.
Right.
Yes. He almost pulled it off. I don't know how, but the fact that it came up in conversation, what did we play before that game?
Who do you think he tried to schedule? Southern?
Or, Louisiana College.
Immediately.
Anybody.
Who wants to play?
We will pay you $1 million
for Mason Smith to be able to
Community
play.
College.
Really? Seriously.
Do you want to play?
Who wants
We're paying him $1 million and you $1 million.
Athletic budget paid for
this year.
Everybody speak up.
Come help.
He held up a sign in front of all the schools. We have your athletic budget here.
It's a check. It's just a big check. It's just a big check.
Show me your money. Show me the money.
Somebody, please.
You get a lot more than beads.
It's just a big, giant check he's holding out.
He's driving the LSU 18-wheeler around.
Give me one of those big ones.
Damn, I wish they'd have pulled it off.
I know.
That would have pissed Florida State off so bad.
I wish they'd have pulled it off, man, where you could have played Papakai this weekend.
Yeah,
high.
Could you imagine we would be scrambling trying to cover the teams? Actually, we're playing this week. It's wait, we got a game. We got a game to go see.
They probably couldn't get
a home game.
Right.
You'd have been in Baton Rouge.
They probably couldn't get the TV thing right either.
Or it's probably the logistics.
It was impossible.
Yeah, it was just logistically.
How long have they known? Do you know?
They have known about it since the Kayshawn deal.
So they had a year.
Yeah, they've been knowing about it.
They've been exploring this for a long time.
Right. It's obviously something that they got caught up in, that they've been working behind the scenes. I mean, they've
Poor Scott's been thinking about this for a year. We had no clue. It's been hanging over his head.
It sucks because it's all from the NO regime. This is all a part of the Call Derek scheme.
The gift that keeps on giving. Back when they were handling
the grift
NIL
that keeps on
in-house.
grifting.
Yeah, Call Derek.
I mean, like, look, I got a guy that wants y'all to sign some autographs over on the corner of Florida and Airline.
Call Derek.
How much am I getting paid?
They'll tell you when you get there.
It's $17 million for you, Ed.
Yeah, right.
See the door.
Yeah, can you divvy this up between Kayshawn and Mason?
That's unbelievable. That just how convoluted it's become, because now it's legal, but then it wasn't. And then Kayshawn, it felt like, got to pick his games, but since Mason Smith was hurt, he doesn't get to pick his. And so they tried to move a game ahead of the game.
NCAA's like, no trade-offs.
And Scott's just been sweating in his sleep thinking about it, like, how can I get a game? Anybody have any ideas?
How close they got.
Me too.
I feel like they got close.
Me too.
Somebody probably wanted to play.
Well, I mean, you dangle all that cash out there, man.
Is there anybody better than Ross Dellinger when it comes to stuff like this? So he just automatically was like, oh, I got the scoop. Like, he's like, oh, let me cook.
Been waiting to tell y'all.
Yeah. Is this coming up? God. But Florida State dodges another bullet. The Mason Smith bullet gets dodged again. The thing they have to worry about the most is now Perkins. At least you get one of the two.
And that would be my second storyline. The offensive line for LSU, and this is LSU's side of it. I know that Florida State defensively, especially on the line of scrimmage, is going to be a hell of a matchup for this group in week 1. Right? I think it's a great test. It's a group that, from LSU standpoint, you think is ready for the challenge, and you roll the ball out. You know what I mean? Like, you see. Yeah, let's see. Tee it up. You know, I mean, from LSU's offensive line standpoint, it's a group that we've been talking about for a while now. Dating back to last season at the end of the year when you started to see the gel happening. And then you knew you had guys coming in. I mean, we hadn't talked about guys like Mason Lunsford, who seems to be back in action and could be healthy here in week 1 going into the matchup. Lance Hurd is a guy that seems like he's going to crack that top 5 at some point. I got him cracking the top 5 this weekend. I think that, it won't take long, a couple of series where 53 is going to be in the game.
He was there 2 weeks ago in that scrimmage.
So, from just the opening storyline of the matchup, offensive line play for LSU, I think, is a much different story going into this one than compared to last season. On the other side of the ball, my second storyline is Harold Perkins. Harold Perkins in this game covered kicks last year.
Almost killed somebody.
He did. He cracked
Got
a
a
skull.
15-yarder.
At first play of the game.
Got a personal foul.
Tried to kill him, man.
He's pissed he wasn't playing.
Yeah, I'm taking that on you.
You got a different jersey on than me? What's
One
up?
thing that I can assure you, coming up this Sunday,
he won't be running down
Four
on
will
keg.
not come off the field. And now with Mason Smith out, he becomes the centerpiece of the offense. Of the defense. The offensive game plan.
It'd be great if he played offense
for
as well.
Florida State. Right? Whenever you break the huddle, if you're Jordan Travis, you find one person. You're finding number 4. Because that's where the chaos, that's where it's coming from. And I would have loved to have seen Harold Perkins play in this game with the ability to have Mason Smith eating and gobbling up double teams on that line of scrimmage, because Florida State's offensive line, for as much as we called them fat, pudgy, and out of shape last season, which they were.
Yeah, still are.
Still would have had their hands full with Mason Smith coming up this weekend. And him out of the matchup obviously switches the advantage a bit towards the Noles, but you still have guys like Mekhi Wingo. You still have guys like Jacoby and Guillory. You still have guys on the outside who can play, and you still got 4. You still got Harold Perkins.
And you didn't have him last year.
And 365 days ago, he never got on the field for a defensive snap. And this year, a year later, he's the best player on the field. And with him roaming on defense and Jordan Travis, who, look, when I look at Jordan Travis, I almost see like a mirror image of Jaden Daniels. I see almost like the same player, not only from like a physical skill set standpoint, but like where they are in their trajectory, where they are like kind of on their climb. This game, in my opinion, microscopically, is a one-on-one battle between these two in a quarterback standpoint of who at this point of the grading scale is better. Like, it doesn't determine which one is going to be drafted higher after Sunday's performance. But I think when you look at the individuals and you're just evaluating, grading, and giving them their draft feedback, Sunday is huge for them. And not just because it's Travis and Daniels. It's because the defense that Travis has to go against and the defense that Daniel's going to have to go against. This is a really good test early in both of these guys' senior season where you can get a true barometer, judge, measuring stick of where they are from a draft standpoint, where they are from a development standpoint. How much have they developed in the offseason, right? Can Jaden Daniels really throw the ball down the field? We've heard he can. I've seen highlights of him at Manning Passing Academy uncorking a few. But when the bullets are flying, when you've got rush in your face, you've got guys at your ankles, you've got guys that are breaking through, can you step up and let one fly and hit and connect with some of these talented receivers that LSU has? Obviously, I think that's going to be something that we talk about as well. But my second storyline is Harold Perkins is going to be on the field, and he's going to be roaming. He's going to be a difference maker a year later in a game that really he wasn't even a part of it. I guess he was a part of it from the standpoint.
He's a spectator.
He had a penalty and he made a couple of kickoff tackles, but
that's it.
He's probably going to be the leading tackler in the game. He's going to have as big as impact of a defensive player that anybody has here. So, that's going to be different for as far as LSU goes and as far as the game goes, right? And the matchup.
If I gave you Jordan Travis's game log from the LSU game, what would you think it was before I say it?
It wasn't real good.
No, it wasn't good. But the most impressive part about Travis last year to me was his escapability.
Mm-hmm. He kept
LSU
plays alive.
had him dead to rights a
5
couple
or
of
6
times. And guess who he's not getting away from in the backfield?
4.
At all.
Ever.
I see my man Dre. Bro, Perkins isn't Superman. He's not gonna be out there every play. Okay, may take a couple plays off, but he is Superman.
Yeah.
I got news for you. He may not be out there every play, but when he does, he's going to affect the games in ways that no ACC linebacker ever has.
Unless he was Luke Kuechly.
Nobody that Florida State played, had they seen a player like Harold Perkins.
He was 20 of 33 for 260 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Both touchdowns were.
Was that Johnny Rogers?
Mm-hmm. And one was a flea flicker, right?
Yeah.
But the efficiency only 13 incompletions. I think that's where you have to kind of look. And if I gave you Jaden Daniels' stat line against Florida State, what do you think it was?
Oh, terrible.
25 of 34 for 209 yards, 2 touchdowns, 16 carries for 114 yards.
25 of what?
34.
Damn.
He was better than we think.
Yeah, he was.
And he's better.
That was the second half.
Yes. Well, and he counted for over 300 yards of offense by himself.
Yeah.
That's a good game, and that's where the script gets lost on Jaden Daniels. Is you go back and look at the numbers, like, wait, he had over 300 all-purpose yards, and people don't want him to play. And he's supposed to be better this year in the second year of a new, no longer a new offense, second year in the same system, same offensive coordinator, which also gets lost because when you look at the SEC, only one team had everybody come back like that, and that's LSU, where you have the same head coach, same offensive coordinator, same defensive coordinator, same quarterback. When you start looking at the things and read the tea leaves a little bit, you would think that LSU should be better on offense, and they lost by 1 point after giving up 2 dropped punts, 1 blocked field goal, and 1 missed extra point. You lost by 1 point.
I think it was 2 blocked field goals.
2 blocked
field goals. Well, 1 blocked extra point, 1 blocked field goal, 1 missed field goal.
Yeah. So
you left some points out there. Even Brian Kelly himself said at halftime, I don't know if we've ever played worse.
I don't think we could play worse.
His halftime interview.
It was unbelievable.
Welcome. It was like, where am I?
This is bad.
This is unreal.
And this is going by terrible. This is going by quickly.
You wonder if I've ever seen a football, don't you? It was just like, what's going on out there, man? I don't really know.
The fakest smile ever.
I don't get it.
I don't like
even know what I'm looking at.
I don't like it here.
I hate it here. Sweet.
And I'm in New Orleans.
This seems like a good hire. This is a great start.
Scott was sweating.
What are you? $10 million into this $100 million investment?
10 years?
Sure. Hell, this is gonna be a long decade, crew.
There's a for sale sign in front of my house in Baton Rouge already.
Jesus.
Let's fast forward. You won the SEC West.
But it has the temperature and tone has definitely changed here for sure. All right, we're going to talk to Brooke Kirkhofer coming up here in a couple of minutes. We'll get to the New Orleans Saints, how they get to 53-man roster, what she saw yesterday from Jimmy Graham. I mean, who saw Jimmy Graham yesterday, man? That was a retro day for Graham. I mean, he went up and snagged one over the defensive back to set up a scoring opportunity and then was able to grab the jump ball. He faked the slam dunk over the goal post. I mean, Graham was feeling it last night, man.
Love you, Jimmy.
It was good to be there, man. It was great to see.
If you had to pick, good Lord, if you had to pick one player that I didn't think was going to show out yesterday, it would have been Jimmy Graham after everything. I didn't even know where he was. I didn't think he was going to lie. I think he was going to suit
I
up.
thought he was in California still. I didn't know what's going on.
No. I'm about balling.
Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by Hughes Mechanical. Hughes Mechanical Contractors services residential and commercial clients for their HVAC services. It is hot right now in South Louisiana. If your AC's having a tough time keeping up, get in touch with our pros over at Hughes Mechanical Contractors where they can help you today. Call them. 225-658-2147, 225-658-2147 is how you get in touch with them, or online at hughesmechanical.net. They are a trusted Daikin dealer over there at Hughes Mechanical. Great warranty that they can tell you about. Get in touch with them. Hughes Mechanical Contractors, hughesmechanical.net online. We'll be back. A little bit of Saints discussion before we get back to LSU Florida State here on the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, built by RMB Builders, and live from the campus of Click Here Digital on this Monday of game week. Come back with us. If you're in the market for a mortgage lender, you need to start with Doug Bickley and his team. Bickley has built a crew with over 50 years of combined lending experience. They've been in business for over 20 years, and they love helping their clients achieve the American dream of home ownership. They're also key with working in real estate agents and helping their clients getting same-day pre-approval. They average about one buyer a day getting them in a home. If you want to get in touch with Doug and his crew, it's easy. Call them 225-214-5154. 225-214-5154. Go see the Bickley team today. They're located on the corner of Coursey Boulevard and Sherwood Forest right here in Baton Rouge. Is it time to wash your house or business? Call the pros at Hydro Wash today. Get them out with their low-pressure, soft-washing cleaning approach. From commercial buildings, rooftops, and residentials, Hydro Wash is ready to get your place shining. Find them on Facebook or call Curtis at 225-933-7068. Take it from me, Hydro Wash came by and made my house look like new. What was best was the professionalism. They picked up everything, made the clean, and then put everything back to where it belonged. Get in touch with Curtis today. Call him at 225-933-7068 or find Hydro Wash on Facebook.
What's up?
What's happening?
Chilling with a couple of cool guys. You?
Chilling and watching some tube. Hold on.
Did you do it?
Hold on. Did you do it?
Roof's up.
Hold on.
Roof's up?
Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
You can't put the cart before the horse. That'd be like, will you marry me?
Do I know you?
Never sign a contract with a roofer before he gets on your roof. Call Go Roof instead. We offer a free, no-obligation inspection. A beautiful roof every shingle time. Bobby, goes in the front.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Belmont Stakes Race Training. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Kentucky Derby Training. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
All right, welcome back here to the campus of Click Here Digital on Interline Avenue in between Drusilla and Airline, live on this Monday. Remember, over at Click Here, helping you out with full-service digital marketing plans. That means if you're on Google, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, you're on social media, and you get served an ad, it's coming to you from Click Here Digital. Find out how Click Here Digital can make you money. That's what they do for their clients. Really, they help you out with digital marketing plans. They make sure that you're getting leads from SEO to display video to everything from digital ads. Let me help you out if you have some questions. Jordy at clickhere.com, Jordy at clickheredigital.com, and online, clickheredigital.com is where you can find them. All right, last night inside of the Dome, it was the last preseason game for the NFL, the last weekend of preseason games, because by tomorrow at 3 o'clock, teams have to make all of their cuts. All 32 teams are required to get down from a 90-man roster to a 53-player roster tomorrow at 3 o'clock. There are a bunch of names that we've talked about throughout camp, but as we mentioned going into last night's game, there were only a couple of spots available. Here to help us kind of shake out how it's going to look is the Louisiana Broadcaster of the Year. Been looking forward to catching up with Brooke here, Brooke Kirkhofer, who is now over at New Orleans.football. Just some of the great work that Underhill and his crew have done over the last couple of months. No bigger example of that than Brooke Kirkhofer being over there now as a full-time employee and somebody that's helping them cover the New Orleans Saints. She joins us now here on this Monday morning to talk a little bit about last night and what's coming up as far as the cuts go. Brooke, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Jordy. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Just get this out of the way. Congratulations on the award. We have not spoken publicly, I know, since you received that award. Much deserved, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get down to last night and talk a little bit about what we saw on the field. We got to start with Jimmy Graham, right? I mean, Graham looked retro last night, and he's had a hell of a camp. Tell me what you have made of the signing of Graham and what he ultimately did for his roster spot last night.
Yeah, vintage 2013 Jimmy Graham. Even though he didn't necessarily dunk the ball over the goalpost, he kind of pump faked and faked the entire crowd out. I think everybody was looking forward to seeing that. But an interesting signing, bringing a veteran tight end back in Jimmy Graham, because the tight end room is incredibly crowded, which has made our projections for the 53-man roster really tough to kind of nail down, because you're looking at if you keep Jimmy Graham, 4 tight ends, Taysom Hill, Jawan Johnson, Jimmy Graham, and Foster Moreau. I believe they're going to keep all 4 of those. So where does that number come from? We've been talking about, is this the year they don't keep a fullback? Is this year they go 5 wide receivers instead of 6? Do they take that number from the defensive backs? Super interesting. And to me, a lot of people talked about, are they going to cut Jimmy Graham? Look, with a signing like this, I mean, the guy's plastered all over the walls in the Saints office. This isn't a guy that you bring back and not sign him. So he is definitely going to make this roster. But as you mentioned, he kind of needed to prove it a little bit, that he still kind of had that dog in him, that Jimmy Graham style that we saw in 2013, kind of just that rough, energetic tight end, and he showed that in the preseason game last night against the Texans. Dennis Allen made a really good point at the very beginning of training camp with Jimmy Graham is, look, he's going to have a lot of veteran rest days given his age, him coming back, him having a year off from football. He can have those veteran rest days, but when he's out there, he needs to show us that he still has it in him. I think last night he did that, and he's definitely going to make this roster. Now it's a matter of, all right, if you've got 4 tight ends, where's that number coming from?
Jalen Smith has also become an interesting name here over the last couple of weeks. He is somebody that the Saints signed later in camp that I thought really popped. What has he done for his roster spot? What do you envision there?
I believe he's made the team, and he's a guy who has come off the street and taken that 3rd linebacker spot that Caden Ellis left a big hole at. Of course, now he's with the Atlanta Falcons. And look, Zach Bond, DeMarco Jackson, a lot of these guys had an opportunity to solidify themselves in that role. I don't believe they did that. Jalen Smith came in, took advantage of an opportunity. He shined in the Saints-Chargers joint practices. We talked to Dennis Allen after practice, I believe either this first or second practice when we were in Costa Mesa, and he's like, I love what I've seen from this guy. We just need to see it on the playing field. He proved that in the preseason, in the second preseason game. He had 2 huge 3rd down stops. I ran into the linebackers coach, Michael Hodges, who everybody loves seeing him get fired up on the sideline. He's one of those fiery guys. I saw him after the game. He's like, do you see that? Like, this is a guy, Jalen Smith, that this team is excited about. To me, he looks like Demario Davis 2.0 when they're on the field. You look at Jalen Smith, his range is incredible, and he's somebody who I think it was a veteran voice that was missed in that room when Demario Davis was out with injury during training camp. I think he is plugged in right away and has shown that, look, if there's a spot on a team somewhere, you can go in, make a move, and make yourself in a good position to be on a 53-man roster. And I think Jalen Smith has done everything right to prove that he deserves that spot.
A couple of more names before we get into season preview and what we're thinking about this group. Shaq Davis, I thought, has made it very interesting, a rookie wide receiver. Where does he fit in?
Yeah, he's made it tough for the Saints. He's somebody in the last 2 weeks who has made a lot of contested catches. He's popped. I don't think he did himself any favors or didn't do anything bad for himself. I think he's kind of just stayed where he is heading into the preseason game. Like, this wasn't a preseason game where he just went crazy and we're like, oh man, this guy really might make the roster. I think it's still a toss-up as if he'll make the roster or be on the practice squad. He's an undrafted rookie who, a lot of these situations, if he's not going to get picked up on waivers or things like that, I think he has a really good opportunity to maybe elevate himself off the practice squad this year. I do have him on my 53-man roster because of the injuries that we have seen in the wide receiver room. Rashid Shaheed, Traquan Smith have both missed time with injury. You don't want to put it out there that maybe Michael Thomas might not be himself or ready to go or things like that, but anything could happen with Michael Thomas. Of course, we'd love to see him be back to the 2019 self that he was. I think that's an unfair assessment, but if Michael Thomas, something were to happen this season, where do you have do you have depth at wide receiver? I think they keep Shaq Davis. I think they keep Keith Kirkwood, and we'll see what happens with Traquan Smith. I don't know where he is going to end up. We haven't seen him in several weeks. We did see him on the Saints sideline, but it's a big question mark for Shaq Davis. But I think he has at least helped himself, and he's making it very difficult for the Saints to make a decision this week for sure.
What are they going to do with Andrus Peat? I know he took a pay cut. He had his training camp really kind of knocked out because of a quad injury, and then he didn't look good last night. So what happens here?
Yeah, this is a tough decision for me. I left him off my 53-man roster projection because of the offensive line injuries that we have seen just plague the Saints over the years. You have young, healthy guys that are in that room right now. Nick Saldiveri stands out to me. Andres Pete lost that starting guard spot to James Hurst. James Hurst has continued to work in the ones since Andres Pete came back. I think that speaks volumes. And just seeing him around the practice field during training camp since he's been back, he just doesn't seem like himself. And he's kind of, when the offensive linemen are walking to the next unit or next thing in practice, he's kind of just lagging behind. I don't know if the writing's on the wall for him just yet, but it would not surprise me if he did not make the 53-man roster for the Saints.
I'm with you. And then last night, a local standout who has a lot of people pulling for him is John Trey Kirkland, who seemingly has had some pretty good weeks here with the Saints. Has he done enough?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I'm not ready to say that John Trey Kirkland is 100% going to make this roster or even the practice squad at that, to be perfectly honest with you. This is a unique offseason for the Saints where they have a really, really talented roster right now, and it's Dennis Allen even mentioned after the game last night against the Texans that this is one of the harder cut down days that he has had as a coach. When you look all around top to bottom, it's just going to be really, really hard for a guy like John Trey Kirkland to find a spot on this team, even on special teams. Like, they're stacked on special teams, wide receiver. To me, John Trey Kirkland, I think, came in a little too late with the Saints. I think if he would have been here a little bit earlier, maybe, but he did not pop in the way that Shaq Davis did in the last 2 weeks to me. Now, John Trey Kirkland looked good in the preseason game last night, but I think it's important for fans to realize, too, like, a lot of the guys that are out there are the 2s, 3s, or even 4s that are being thrown out there for a third preseason game, so it's not necessarily best on best. It's hard to get a read for a guy like John Trey Kirkland in a third preseason game.
Brooke, I am a groupie. Are you a groupie? Are you not a groupie? Is Blake Groupie going to make this team?
It's a great question. I think it's the one that's going to be the hardest to answer. So for me, heading into training camp, from day one, I've always thought it's Will Lutz's job to lose. They kept him around, but they brought in this young guy from Notre Dame, and a lot of people have not necessarily believed in him because of his size and stature, but the kid's got a huge leg. He hasn't, up until this third preseason game, I thought it was neck and neck between the two of them. And then Will Lutz, the last dome practice, he went 5 of 7 in field goals, and to me it was like, oh wow, like this might be a little bit tighter than we thought it was. I think the Saints want Will to prove that this is his spot, and really it comes down to the last week. And Will, like I said, that last dome practice, you saw him after practice trying to make these kicks that he didn't make during that period, and it was hit or miss. And then you get to the preseason game, the third preseason game, where you really wanted to see Lutz drill a long field goal. We didn't get to see it. And then Blake Groupie, a lot of people were going crazy about this 60-yard field goal that, oh, it's not fair to say it's make or break. But look, if he made that 60-yard field goal, I'd be leaning towards Blake Groupie. And he has made those in practice. So it's not like this is like a wild thought that he can't make a 60-yard field goal. It's really tough for the Saints right now, but I think it's a good problem to have. You have 2 good kickers to pick from, and if Blake Groupie or Will Lutz, whoever it is, the guy who doesn't make it is going to be a starting kicker somewhere else in the NFL. But this, to me, out of all the position battles, is going to be the hardest one for the Saints to make a decision. I think they're leaning toward Will Lutz as of right now, because Groupie hasn't done to me enough to be like, nope, he's the outright guy. He's the one winning the job. But it is really close, and man, you just think about it. If he would have made that 60-yard field goal last night, I'd probably be sitting here saying, man, this fan base is going to be pissed if they don't go with Will does.
The Louisiana Sportscaster of the Year, Brooke Karkoffer, joining us from New Orleans.football. It is must-read content every day of the season, but especially today with the Saints cutting from 90 to 53. Brooke has her prediction in. Nick Underhill has his prediction in. Mike Triplett has his prediction in over at New Orleans.football. You can read all of that. All right, Brooke, we just saw a limited amount of the first-team offense with Derek Carr under center. When we saw it, it looked very good. He looked very comfortable. He looked very much in control. You saw much more of that throughout training camp and throughout practices. Did it look that easy the rest of the time?
It really did. Everything that we saw in that preseason, in the first preseason game, is exactly what we've seen in training camp, and especially in Costa Mesa for these joint practices. That's where we really got to see, how is Derek Carr working in this offense? Is he really as comfortable as we've seen when it's just them going up against the Saints defense? And he really is. And I think a lot of it has to do with the work they put in the offseason between him and Pete Carmichael. That relationship is really important, especially when you have a quarterback coming from the Raiders where, to be honest with you, like his confidence and pride took a hit with the Raiders last year. And when you bring in a new quarterback, the one thing you want them to have is confidence in their game, and you need the quarterback to kind of have his own little swagger. And Derek Carr has that. I mean, you see in the gun show, he tucks in his jersey and he's, chirping back and forth with the guys. Like I've seen him be more vocal. But no, he does look comfortable. And I think everybody's been asking about, the Derek Carr, Michael Thomas connection. It's getting there. I'm more excited about the Derek Carr, Chris Olave connection, which has been on from day one. I know we didn't get to see too much of it in the first preseason game, at least. The one time he went to Chris Olave, they weren't able to connect on the one play, but that's going to be really interesting. Also, too, Rashid Shaheed, as I mentioned, and Traquan Smith have not been out there at practice. We don't really know what that connection is going to look like between Derek Carr and those two guys, but we do know he's a tight end friendly quarterback, and he's going to have 4 really talented and big tight ends to go to this season. The Juwan Johnson, Derek Carr, look for that if you're trying to still pick up a guy. I don't know if it's too late to pick up a guy in fantasy. Pick Juwan Johnson if you have a chance to do that, because he is going to rack up numbers for your team. And then you have Jimmy Graham kind of in those special packages, third down, red zone. If you're Derek Carr, I would imagine you're going into this season thinking, wow, look at all the guys I have. Alvin Kamara has been more involved in the passing game. That's something that's been kind of drilled into the offense this offseason specifically, because they felt like they didn't utilize Alvin in that area enough last year. And then you've got Jamal Williams and Kendre Miller, who can kind of do the dirty work for Alvin so he can stay healthy and upright and be more involved in the passing game. But no, Derek Carr from day one, we've been waiting to see the practice. Is he going to fall off? No, he's been just the epitome of confidence in every practice.
Last one, Brooke, I'll get you out of here. Peyton Turner looks like he's had the last few good weeks here. What's the expectation for him now here, being a youngster on this defensive line that needs youth to step up?
I was hoping that he would win the job opposite Cam Jordan. I don't think he's done that in training camp. I think Carl Granderson has. I think Tano Passanio has looked good. Peyton Turner still is a big question mark again heading into this season, just because he hasn't done I don't know how to say hasn't done anything. He hasn't taken the necessary steps to show that, hey, this was the guy who was the first-round draft pick, who is showing his talent, who is proving that he's the guy. We haven't really talked with him with DA too much over the last few weeks, which I don't know if it's necessarily concerning, because we've been asking more about the rookies, like an Isaiah Foskey, a Brian Brzee, things like that. But Peyton Turner, to me, still has a lot to prove with this team. And it's his make or break season. If he doesn't prove it this year, I don't think he's on the team next year. We'll see what happens, but the defensive line needs him to step up. And look, outside of Carl Granderson and Tano Passanio, if those guys go down with injuries during the season or anything like that, you need a Peyton Turner to be up and ready to go. And we'll see. Does he break out and show a little bit of, they used to call him Marcus Davenport 2.0? We'll see. I haven't seen it yet in training camp for me to be like, yes, he solidified that role. He's done some things. He's popped a little bit. He's had a few sacks here and there, but to me, it hasn't been enough yet to really solidify his role as a starter.
Brooke Kirkhofer from the authority of Saints football knowledge. New Orleans.football is just flexing on everybody over the last couple of months, and they're doing it better than anybody. Make sure you're following them on Twitter. Make sure you're on the site at New Orleans.football. Follow Brooke on Twitter. Follow Nick, Mike, the entire crew over there at New Orleans.football with season getting going and getting down to cuts tomorrow. Keep up the great work, Brooke. Congratulations again. Great to see you. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks so much, Jordy. Have a good one.
All right, there she is, Brooke Kirkhofer, checking in from New Orleans this morning on, pre-cut day. Got about a little bit more than 24 hours before the Saints get down from 90 to 53 with the rest of the league. Just a couple of spots available. I'm with her. I think Andrew Speed, I think it's over for him in New Orleans. I just think the last couple of months, he took a pay cut early in the offseason. He had a quad injury in camp. He got out there last night and just – he's a step or two behind in the way that Brooke kind of explains him on the practice field. It's almost as if he sees it coming. The writing is on the wall. Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by Go Roof. Our friends over at Go Roof, GEAUX, roof.com. A beautiful roof every shingle time. You get 2-year free workmanship guarantee with all new roof installations from the crew over at Go Roof. Whether it's roof repair, whether it's roof installation, roof maintenance, they can help you out with all of it over at Go Roof. Call them. 225-927-8300, 225-927-8300. Residential roofing, commercial roofing, roofing repairs. Go Roof helps you out today. A new roof, a beautiful roof every shingle time. The phone number, plug this into your contacts list. That way when rain, when wind, when thunderstorms come through the area like they did last night in South Baton Rouge, throughout Baton Rouge, that you are prepared when you wake up. You can make that call to your roofer, right? If you think you have roof damage, if you wake up after a windy night and you see shingles on the driveway, shingles in the yard, then you need somebody to hop up on the roof and tell you what happened. Go Roof will do that today for free once you make the call. 225-927-8300. Get a trusted pro on your roof today. See if you had damage from wind, rain, all those storms that came through over the last couple of days here in Baton Rouge. Do you need a new roof? Go Roof will tell you today. They'll work directly with the insurance company. Make it easy for you. Online, GEAUX, roof.com, and call them, 225-927-8300. We're back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show from the campus of Click Here Digital, live every day and built by R&B.
Rips up.
Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, Our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Is it time to wash your house or business? Call the pros at Hydro Wash today. Get them out with their low-pressure, soft-washing cleaning approach. From commercial buildings, rooftops, and residentials, Hydro Wash is ready to get your place shining. Find them on Facebook or call Curtis at 225-933-7068. Take it from me, Hydro Wash came by and made my house look like new. What was best was the professionalism. They picked up everything, made the clean, and then put everything back to where it belonged. Get in touch with Curtis today. Call him at 225-933-7068 or find Hydro Wash on Facebook.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot. Oh, yeah. Sticking the roof in.
For a hole in your roof, for a whole new roof, go roof. Roof, roof, go roof.
Hey, Greg, the roof up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up! Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
All right, welcome back here to a Monday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, we are built by RMB Builders and live on the campus of Click Here Digital as we come to you every weekday, Monday through Friday, starting at 7 a.m. Make sure and give us a like, share. You can comment and interact with us throughout the show, which we much appreciate. And if you've not subscribed, please subscribe to the show as you can hit that subscription button and then hit the bell. And once we go live, you'll be notified and you'll be able to catch up with us here for the Jordy Culotta Show. As we are going to talk to Stephen Wagaspack, who's a gubernatorial candidate, is going to be inside of our studio tomorrow. We've also got a couple of regulars now on the books here, as our guy Jake Crane is going to be back as a regular here throughout football season. He's going to be a Friday regular with us. Wilson Alexander from The Advocate is going to be a Tuesday regular with us here during game week as we break down LSU action. Wilson will be every Tuesday at 8:15. Today is the first Brian Kelly press luncheon, so that'll be cool on campus over at LSU. It's starting to happen, people. I mean, it's really going down. They're going
It's football season.
jump on a bus and get to the airport and plane over to Orlando later this week, and they're going to take on Florida State on Sunday night. We'll have you all geared up and ready for it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. So that's another reason why you got to subscribe. If you have not subscribed, you want to keep up with all of the LSU content that we'll be pumping out. Make sure and lock in right here for the show as we appreciate that. So Stephen Waggus back tomorrow. Wilson Alexander tomorrow. Shay Dixon's going to be in on Wednesday. Jacques will be a Wednesday regular as well. Throughout. We're trying to find Shay's regular time, whether it's going to be a Monday or a Friday.
It's up to Shay.
I think we should give Shay Fridays.
Right.
He seems like a Friday.
He does
Well,
seem
the
more like a
thing
Friday guy.
with Shay is the Superior Night's
That's right.
Thursday, so the Friday becomes very early for Shay, if I know my guy, which I feel like I do.
It's a good scouting report on
Yes,
Shay.
because he gets away with a lot.
Yeah.
But he has got a long leash, which I'm just, you got to respect it.
These stories are already pre-written.
Yes.
Right. I'm just hitting click.
Exactly.
I'm just proud of the
post.
way that he's been able to finagle such a career into, like, if Shay doesn't show up, it's not that big a deal.
Right.
But we really always want him here.
Mm-hmm.
But he's found such a good space where he doesn't have to be. If he doesn't, he gets to do whatever he wants, is basically what I'm saying.
He lives a good life.
Yes.
Love that for sure.
He lives a good life.
I do too. I'm jealous. I'm trying to figure out how I can be more like Shay, I guess.
He's a couple of months away, or maybe a couple of football seasons away from having a drink named after him at Superior.
Yes.
Yeah. The Shay Dixon.
The Shay D.
I mean, that's right. I'll take a couple of Shadies.
Yeah, two Shadies.
And one to go. If you
One
don't
to
mind.
go, yeah. Call an Uber.
So we're
Excellent
gonna have
driver.
we'll have a regular lineup for you here on the Jordy Culotta Show, breaking down LSU football. I like kind of keeping Mondays
open,
and I'm thinking about doing the phone calls on Monday now, just to do some instant reaction.
Are we
right?
gonna?
Stu, did you see I found the dongle?
He did. I noticed
What a
that.
guy.
And
By the way, we're leased on Government Street.
We're free.
The studio has been taken over. Shout out to our guy, Matthew Shirley, over at Siraj Rotenberg. Shout out to Perry Franklin, the owner of the building. It was a great run over on Government Street.
What do you think about that?
What do you think about that?
What a spot.
It was.
It was a great spot.
End of an era.
It was a great spot. A little 16-month run.
It feels like we found our forever home here.
Over
though.
at Government, and we have now moved into our digs where we're not moving out.
Yeah.
We're not leaving.
I'm not leaving.
Yeah, right. We're not leaving. You can come up and
The show goes on.
Whatever y'all want to do. We will reside here for the long-term future. And it was to have that weight off the back of that loan to trim the fat of the crew, to take the Ozempic of the crew and thin down.
We thinned up.
And
it's beach season.
We have found our lane. We have found our crew.
Literally found our lane.
We have. We have found our partners in Click here. We've got a great crew that's going to help us out. We're going to get the website revived.
Yes.
This week.
Necessary.
Over at, it's actually still out there. It's bad.
It's terrible.
It's bad.
So it was good 3 years ago.
Yes.
We thought we were doing something right, but now that we've advanced, it feels like that because it's the old UDL on that website still.
Yeah. No, it's some old images.
Yes.
It's some old images.
So don't go to it yet, but do go to it. Subscribe, and you know it's football season because Florida State is in the chat.
Yes.
Talking smack. Talking that shit.
I love that, man.
Me too.
I love that.
I love that we did two in a row because we've never really had another fan base like Florida State hop in here and really want to mix it up.
Yeah.
Like, I guess you got the one guy from Georgia that loves to talk. Georgia's and baddies and beer cans, that guy. He pops in every now and again. But Florida State's really the one rivalry we absolutely have. They cut up a whole montage of you.
I know.
The rivalry we didn't know we needed.
I know.
I felt so Moscone-ish.
Jeez.
Like
somebody else's baby.
Golly, I mean, I've seen so many fan bases like hate Moscone. I've always been like, damn, bro. Like,
Probably like,
how'd you do that? Yeah.
Dude.
Like, this dude in Louisiana's calling our lineman fat.
Moving.
Slow.
Out of shape.
I mean, the next thing you know, I mean, I had people in my mentions from Florida State like in week 6.
Jeez.
Oh, they wouldn't quit.
It was after they got beat by somebody they faded.
They lost.
Maybe Wake Forest.
They lost 3 in a row. Sam Hartman.
Sam Hartman looked good this weekend, Coach.
In more ways than one.
In Dublin.
I told we had that segment, Stewie. He is a beautiful man.
Gorgeous.
Good looking guy.
Good Lord.
The beard
he
is
took
almost
off his
too
helmet. I
much.
was like, this guy looks like it's a movie character.
Have you seen the side by side of him in like his freshman year?
It doesn't look like the same
Big
person.
glow up?
Oh my God!
Big glow up.
A Brady type glow up?
Yes. I mean, this is what we were saying earlier. I've watched Sam Hartman since QB1, where he left a powerhouse high school to go to a team that had 0 wins and follow his head coach, and they went to the state finals.
Wow.
Sam Hartman's been a player, a winner.
Been a guy.
That's what he just looks like, a winner. The back of his hair just flowing out of that
beautiful.
helmet. Yeah, it's just
beautiful.
Couldn't imagine what you were thinking.
It was.
I hate him.
Jordan, get out of here. Close the door.
Looks good in the Notre Dame uniform.
He does. It just feels right.
He does. I thought that Notre Dame uni was popping on Saturday.
They were the.
I don't like Notre Dame's unis. I thought they looked really good in Ireland.
They were the big winner over the weekend, huh?
I thought so.
I feel like they're going to be ranked a little bit higher than they should be. I don't know how good they are, but it felt like they had a.
What's their schedule like, Stewie?
I mean, Navy had what? Navy didn't even
Navy
have passing yards going into.
I know they had 0 passing yards. They had a player tackle their own player on a pass.
Yes.
On 4th down. That if Navy completes that, we got a game on our hands. But it just got away from them. They were fooled on that triple option, which is why we were scared of Army. But now they're spreading it out.
Right.
But I wouldn't want to play that game at all.
At all.
So Notre Dame, they have Tennessee State this week. NC State.
It's Eddie George, huh?
Mm-hmm. NC State, Central Michigan, Ohio State, September 23rd.
Oh, that's an L.
But it's at Notre Dame.
Oh, it's in
South Bend.
Bend.
They should play in Ireland. That should be their home. They should kick them over there.
Then they go to Duke. Then they go to Louisville after that.
Trap.
And then USC comes to them.
Ooh.
Then
They're
they
not making it.
Pittsburgh.
What day is that USC game?
October 14th. So the same day LSU plays Auburn.
Okay.
Then they play Pittsburgh. Then they go to Clemson.
God, they got a schedule.
Wake Forest, and then they finish the season off at Stanford.
Stanford stinks.
Could be a trap game, though.
Last game of the year. And then you'll get the
trap game I heard on that schedule was Duke.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you'll get the green
Dukies.
jerseys versus USC. Those colors always pop. They always do some sort of special uniform.
Where's that game this year?
It's at Notre Dame.
At Notre Dame. I mean, they catch the break on the schedule.
Absolutely.
Like you got Ohio State and
But that's
USC
a tougher schedule
at
than
home.
usual.
Yeah, it is. Well, I think just the Ohio State portion.
Now, if the USC and Ohio State game were back-to-back, they wouldn't have a break at all.
Right.
It'd get ugly.
How many weeks in between that game?
2 weeks. But USC's defense is just
trash.
Like watching them on defense makes me so mad because their offense is so good, and then they give up 3rd and 22 to San Jose State.
Guy's a player.
Jeez.
Quarterback is a player.
Yeah.
I think. I'll find out next week.
This quarterback draft class going into this season is
got to be licking your chops if you're a GM, right?
I mean, like this is why everybody's tanking.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like it looks like Tampa's tanking.
No, Baker went 6 for 6 with the tutty.
It looked like, well, I mean, just Baker being out there.
Yes.
Tanking,
The
right?
Cardinals.
The Cardinals look
Are
like they're
tanking.
tanking. I mean, they're trading everybody. They sent Isaiah Simmons to the Giants, which, by the way, watch out for the Giants.
It's a 7th-round pick, too.
Heads up for the Giants.
Yeah, Giants got a little squad. Got some talent.
Brian
coach.
Daboll?
Daboll, got a quarterback.
Vanilla Vic? Oh, you believe?
Defense, yeah, I do.
Defense is the coup for the Giants, though. They have a good defense.
Yeah, that's their head coach, though. Isn't he a defensive guy? Daboll?
No, he's
offensive guy?
He's Bama's offensive coordinator.
Oh, he was. you're
Buffalo's
right.
offensive coordinator more than anything.
Yeah.
Buffalo has not been the same since Daboll has left.
You're right.
I mean, really.
Who's Buffalo's new offensive coordinator?
They have a defensive coach in McDermott.
Yeah, the guy that freaked out in the.
It's
that
Dorsey.
Was, Kid Dorsey.
Yep.
From?
Miami.
Mm-hmm.
2001 Miami.
And their offense, I don't think he was the strong suit on that team.
Yeah, they could have not scored a touchdown and still won. They could have went 8-4 without scoring an offensive touchdown.
How crazy is that? That defense was insane. I guess if you had to pick one team to go up against 2019 LSU, it would be that Miami team.
Absolutely.
That should have gone back-to-back, and they were robbed by a
Ohio
phantom.
State.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a fake PI. It's all right, though.
And Antra Roll had to get pulled.
Willis McGahee snapped his leg.
Yes, the first HD injury I've ever seen.
The first HD injury I ever saw, too.
Jeez.
At the dinner table watching it, and everybody was like, oh, it just was. I can't believe he came back.
His leg's not okay.
No,
And for
that was
3
the
or 4
first
years. He was like one of the top backs in the league.
He was all, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
He
Like
was
that's
great.
Maybe the first time you saw like an like total knee blowout ACL where somebody's like, oh wait, you can come back from that. And then AP obviously whenever he did it in like 6 weeks.
That running back room was Frank Gore, Willis McGahee, and Clinton Portis.
Clinton Portis and Najee Davenport.
And Najee Davenport
played
was
fullback
in that room as well. That, I mean, like, that is,
Pick one.
That is, I mean, that
Clinton
is, at
Portis.
one point, that is franchise's 3 best backs
in the NFL.
In the NFL. I
And
mean,
they were
when
all the
Portis
same
was with
team.
Washington, he was the best back in the NFL for a couple of years.
Got traded.
When Frank Gore, to me, is a Hall of Famer.
He should be.
Just by his career, just by his numbers, just by his impact on the game. I mean, and there were certain seasons where he was a top back in the league. Maybe not the overall best, but I will tell you this. I remember when that room was put together at Miami, I remember the buildup of that team, and the only back they were talking about was Frank Gore.
Mm-hmm.
Frank Gore in that room in 2001, I believe, was the dude. Like, he was the one that everybody was talking about. Then he snapped his knee, and it ended up being Portis. Portis got hurt, and it ends up being McGahee.
McGahee gets hurt.
McGahee snaps his leg in the national championship. I mean, it was just... It was the best running back room I've ever... I mean, it was Cecil Collins, Kevin Falk, Rondell Mealy.
Jesus.
I mean, all 3 of those guys were...
Studs.
And, like, stud pros, too.
Clinton Portis got traded for.
Clinton Portis got traded for...
It's a blockbuster trade.
Wait, Brett Favre?
No.
Wait,
was it Albert
did-
Hainsworth?
No. Champ Bailey.
Champ Bailey.
That was like the...
That's right, he went to Denver.
Yeah, big blockbuster trade where they were like, this is my best player, this is your best player, we want to switch.
Let's do it.
Because Shanahan loves that offense.
Hates the defense.
Zone running scheme. Give me Clinton Portis.
Well, Shanahan was in Denver, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, when Shanahan left, they got rid of him.
Yeah.
Right. He ate that zone.
Oh, my
read.
God.
He was
So good.
pretty at it. I mean, like, that cut back, and he's running straight up. Him and Terrell Davis were the finest open field runners because of that scheme. I mean,
Stink.
Yeah. Stink.
Mark Schlereth leading the way.
Made a lot of money on that, dude. Made a ton of money on that.
Speaking of knee injuries. Gore
17?
to Hall of Famer. I think something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, he had like 17 or 19 surgeries.
Frank Gore
on both knees.
like his knee and his back. He's just
I mean,
it's
just
amazing he can walk.
Robotic man.
Yeah.
Football
And-
guy for real.
Yeah, peed his pants all the time. And I
Like
do think
Les?
Frank Gore is a Hall of Famer. 17 years, 16 years in the league.
Yeah, I mean, bring it up. I mean,
Didn't
Frank.
he just stop
first
playing?
off, in the discussion of running back in Frank Gore's career, what has happened to it? When Frank Gore was at Miami, the University of Miami, football was built around that position.
Mm-hmm. That's why he
It
got
was
hurt.
Built around running back, right? When he was in the league for the first, he was drafted in 2005. He was a third-round selection of the San Francisco 49ers, where he played 9 years in Frisco. He
10.
played 05 through 14, then went to the Colts and played from 05 to 17. Played a year in Miami, a year in Buffalo, and played 2 years ago with the Jets. I mean, he played 15 years in the NFL.
Third highest rushing total in league history with 16,000
16,000.
yards. Oh, guess how many tutties? Do you see it?
I do.
He was one away.
I see 81.
He's got 99 career touchdowns.
Okay, so that's receiving and rushing.
Yes. Speaking of 99, rest in peace to Bob Barker.
What a life.
What a life. A legend.
What a life, Bob Barker. Congratulations to you, brother.
Yes. The price is wrong, bitch. What a career. What a life. He looks like somebody that, we talk about Sam Hartman being somebody that looks like you painted to play quarterback. Bob Barker is painted to be a television host.
Game
Price
show
is
host.
right.
Yeah, he
man.
looks just like,
Man.
that's what you would design in a lab.
The string microphone,
Yes, the veneers,
the tailored suit, the veneers,
the tan.
the perfectly put together hair. He almost looks like a competent Joe Biden.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, like, he almost looks like someone that can, like, walk, talk, move, you know what I mean? Kind of, like, got his bearings to him.
It's so funny.
I mean, the way he would move around up there. I mean, I think he was still slinging with the Barker Beauties until like he was like 85, 90. Right?
Get over here.
Yeah.
Get this thing right.
You think you got the job, don't you?
Come have a seat right over
One
here.
more step to the interview process.
I'm gonna go be in this movie with Adam Sandler.
How much is he worth?
God.
I mean, like, you got to think, like, these people like Alex Trebek, God rest his soul, rest in peace, Bob Barker. Isn't Pat Sajak retiring?
I don't know.
The Wheel of Fortune?
$70 million.
$70 million on Bob
That's not
Barker?
enough.
I would have guessed more. I would have guessed three figure. I would have guessed like over $100 million. But I mean, like, you know, I'm not.
Well, always say that because I think of the story that Dan Patrick always tells of him not taking the. What game show?
The Price is Right.
Price is Right. Drew Carey, yes. When they won't tell you how much they pay you, and he's like, "Well, I'm not walking in the door."
Yeah, I'm not working here.
And Drew Carey stepped into a legitimate gold mine.
Gold mine.
Thanks for the money, bro.
And I think you do like 5 episodes a day, and then you're kind of done.
No, you work like 5 months a year.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like you cut like all these shows. The off season like is. For 8 months on game shows.
So I get 5 months to just record everything. And
it's like
5 months. And coach, it's not even 5 months. You're there from like 8 in the morning till 1. People are making your breakfast and lunch for you. You're getting driven around on a personalized golf cart.
Yeah, you get to be the biggest asshole in the world if you want to be.
Whoever you want to be, brother. You know what I mean? Like
the camera starts when I walk in.
Give me a coffee.
Not only are you getting this check, but you're getting residuals from like the game show channel that are just pumping your reruns from all day, sun up to sundown. I mean, Barker's making. He's still making money.
It was
in the grave.
Yeah,
he was.
Nobody has probably raised your children more than Bob Barker.
That's right.
Every sick day. Now that's what
your pets.
Yes.
Don't forget them to get
spayed and neutered.
Spayed and neutered.
There's an epidemic. But now I guess the day of the game show is almost gone because if you're sick now, you have Netflix.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't feel fair.
That's right.
My mother wouldn't let me play Nintendo 64 if I was sick. She's like, you don't get to enjoy.
That's right.
Yeah, you don't get to enjoy.
It's not an off day. I don't understand.
Well, this is an off day.
I'm giving you a.
You're lucky to be here, is what it felt like.
I'm giving you a present for staying home.
Yeah.
I'm rewarding you for not going to school.
Your present is that you get to stay home.
Yes.
You're not going to like it here.
I had to take the phone away from little Jay for the first time last night.
Livy Dunn?
Took it away from a week. The Dunn stuff's coming in. It's getting a little crazy.
Dicey?
You know, he's not liking Paul Skeens. He's got it. Yeah, he's
not feeling that.
Been out of shape now about Paul Skeens.
Hate the guy.
I get it, yeah.
Got my girlfriend.
How old is he?
12.
12?
12, right?
Yeah, you're getting to that age where he's looking up probably more nefarious things than just Livy Dunn swimsuit edition. Is that what got it taken away?
Just the constant scrolling.
Oh, it just bothered you.
Just the constant, like last night we're at the Saints game and we meet Coach Stingley. And, you know,
He's
we're
glued.
just kind of like, just kind of.
You're not appreciating life.
The whole thing. He had his debut over the weekend with University High. New school, showed out, had a really good game. I sent Coach Sting some of the videos, which he always appreciates. So he's like telling him that he saw him, and he's still like in his phone. He's kind of like
he's big leaguing them,
glancing at the phone as like Sting's talking to him, and I'm like, you know, we've had this conversation a lot.
Yeah,
you know, a lot, man. And I just
be where your feet are.
I'd had enough,
I get
man.
it. I get it.
I'd had enough.
Never present with this new generation. It's never. They
Did
don't live in the present.
Did you give your son a tablet?
Yeah, he has an iPad, but he doesn't like. He's more of like a play and talk type of kid. Like when he's not when he's not doing anything, the iPad comes out. But if there's other kids around, he's trying to play.
Yeah, see, that's what you got to be afraid of. Like, imagine if I had a kid now. The easy way is the tablet, I would imagine, and you kind of give up, where you want them on the phone so you don't have to really parent. It's like, oh, this is a good distraction, but you don't want your kid to be that kid.
It's a dangerous game.
It is.
It's a dangerous game. Like talking to like young parents now, like it's a great security blanket.
Like it makes it easy on you.
You want to go out to eat. You want to go hang with your friends. You want to go do some things where the kid is distracted and you don't have to really discipline and oversee it. Just throw the computer, throw the iPad, throw the phone in their face, man, and they are zoned in. But then you create, like mine's 12 now, and, you know, I mean, he's now just kind of in this
The cell phone's scary.
It is scary, man. It is a scary, scary thing. And the greatest example of it is when he is without it, he's a totally different person. His personality, he's so much more engaged. He, looks you in the eye. He talks, you know what I mean? It's more personable, right? I mean, it's a more personable effect on the relationship. And with the phone, and look, it's my fault. Like, and that's as I explain him, like, you got to put regulators on how much you can use this stuff, but then you got to get caught in the mode of, you're doing your thing and you're
on the phone,
him to be distracted, right? So I mean, he's kind of like, doing the things that you're trying to prohibit. So I mean, it's a hell of a wheel you got to run, man. And now he's busting me on like he wants social media. I'm like, dude, there's no way.
He doesn't have Instagram?
No.
TikTok?
Nothing.
That you know of?
Nothing. I mean, everything's run through my email. You know what I mean? There's no way he's going to be able to pull this off.
Well,
right.
He is a Culotta.
I say that. I
yes.
say that.
Yeah.
I say that.
What would you do?
I feel like I'm secured at all corners. I feel like
you're also playing catch
I've got all the exits guarded.
Bar the door.
Right.
Shut the garage.
So, it is. It's a hell of a time, man. But it is football season.
Yeah, because you want him to take in some content, right? Like if he's looking at highlights or YouTube, that feels fair. But if he's just scrolling on his phone, what is he scrolling at if he doesn't have social media?
YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Shorts.
Yes.
It's just like TikTok almost.
It is.
Yeah.
We're gonna get there.
Wait, this is the LA Times headline from the weekend.
That's a great headline.
Plasty! Wow, still doing it.
Still around.
Still doing
writing,
it.
Bro.
Oh, don't you dare take that man's keyboard.
What a great headline.
It is a great headline.
Plasty feels like he knew that he killed that one.
Yeah, right.
He wants to go around the horn right now.
Tweet that out.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, have a good day. We appreciate you being here. Like, share, comment if you don't mind. Make sure and subscribe if you have not subscribed. We'll be back with you tomorrow. As we said, gubernatorial candidate Stephen Waguespack will be in. We'll also be talking LSU football with Wilson Alexander. And then it's the day of the cuts, down to 53 for the NFL and the New Orleans Saints. We'll talk about who is in, and good stuff from Brooke today as she really got into a lot of the position battles to watch out for. I'm telling you, this Blake Groupie, man, this kicker, he's putting a lot of pressure on Lutz.
It feels like
what great nicknames the Saints kickers have.
Mm-hmm.
Big Nuts Lutz, and I'm a groupie.
A groupie.
Right? I mean,
5'6", 156 pounds. And that's 150 pounds a leg.
Some bitch's got a huge leg.
Huge leg.
Third one.
Third leg Greg.
Right. Check this guy. Check this groupie.
Check this groupie. Take the pads off.
Have a great day. Like, share, comment. Back with you tomorrow morning.
Did you see that the pants are getting shorter on college athletes?
Over the knee?
Like super.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was illegal.
We get the roll.
I know that, yeah.
It's a new thing.
The San Jose State quarterback, they barely went down to his quads.
I'm almost positive Caleb Williams doesn't wear knee pads either.
Yeah, he doesn't. Nobody's wearing knee pads. But I'm saying these things were cut to here. It looked like he was wearing practice pants.
Knees exposed on a football field is scary.
Check Willis McGahee.
I mean, I feel like it's not a big deal.
No, I mean, I like it. It looks better, but it just blew me away.
It doesn't see the
Pants
injury as much as you would think. I mean, you go back to like the 90s, like Michael Irvin and those, like it's like wearing like dress pants.
Yeah.
Like they don't have anything on.
Like the thigh pads are like this wide. Knee pads are
up here. I mean, because that's what I was thinking in high school. If you didn't wear your, like, they were checking.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
Pants over your knees. Absolutely. You're like, I don't want to wear these.
You got to check out the
penalties
game.
in grade school for no mouthpiece.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's.
Now cats are going 2 mouthpieces. I saw that this weekend in high
school. Is that what
school.
they do? They leave one in the helmet, then they put one in?
Well, I was watching, who was this? St. Thomas Aquinas and St. Francis were playing this weekend. Or was it? It was 2 teams. It was a team from Florida and St. Francis. And, like, there was a Miami commit on the team, and he had 2 mouthpieces in.
2 mouthpieces?
2 mouthpieces dangling. Like, he would put one in during the play, and the other one would be dangling.
It's the USC effect.
Yeah. I think it's more the Jamar effect.
It is Jamar.
Yeah, it is Jamar.
Remember, and
it makes the highlight so much better with the mouthpiece out.
Yeah, it's an eye catcher. Because I remember when back in my day, It was the cut mouthpiece was cool.
Yeah,
you didn't want to have like the dangle. Then it became the pacifier.
Right, you became like just like the
yeah,
soul,
you want to take it in and put it somewhere else.
Absolutely.
And now it's like, no, it's everything comes back around. It's crazy. Like knee pads are going to come back. Maybe. Get the retro look.
Yeah, it was Chaminade Madonna versus St. Francis Academy.
We have to watch the, who's the fake high school?
Oh, Bishop Sycamore, coach. I watched
Apparently
it.
that documentary is awesome.
Stewie watched it.
That guy's sick.
Yeah, he's got to be demented.
He is just...
Why would you even think to do that?
He doesn't even care either. He's like,
no, he's proud of himself.
He was like, I was trying to help the kids.
They're not kids. They're 30.
How'd you do that? Well, I mean, it was a fake education. What do you mean? I mean, I was trying to help them.
Creating fake money.
All right, have a great day. We're back in your bar.
I need to watch it.
Check out clickyourdigital.com.
See the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta show, come have a good time. It's the hottest show around, we ain't gotta flex. Call up G, we get it done, we earning our respect. Tell recruits to let us in, where they going next? Throw up the L's, now we lit, band playing neck. From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we live, mic'd up for show. Open up the